Hello again. So here we are on another project build. This is a 3 unit that I'm building right now, located in upper New York, western New York area. And just wanted to show you what we are working on today. So I built this deck platform. I'm in the second story right now. And what had happened is this whole floor had completely collapsed out. And then right after I started cutting this floor out, this roof line below, because there's a roof up above and then a roof down below, this ceiling completely collapsed afterwards too because there's so much rot. So what I ended up doing is tearing the entire floor out and then reframing it with pressure treated 2x6s, and just frame like crazy. I overframe just because this is a fairly large deck up here and you can get a lot of people up here, so it's always better to be using larger framing materials, 2x6s, pressure treated. Use construction screws where you can, 4-inch construction screws. Use your nail gun too, because that helps with the wood, the expansion and contraction of the wood during the winter to the summer, especially up here. And then afterwards, I put this stick down roofing material. It's actually a tar on the back. This is like a pre-lay down roofing material, and here's actually the finishing roofing material right here. You can see down here. So that works really good as a membrane on the ground. So if it starts to leak upstairs, like up in this little roof area, then you won't have an issue with the water going down here. Now what's underneath here is an actual apartment, so you need to make sure that this is sealed tight. And then if you look along this edges here, right here I actually put down, it's not a tar, it's called Plasti Roof. You can get it at Home Depot. It's like 40 bucks for 5 gallons, so it's super cheap. And it actually gets hard. It's not like tar where tar will always stay sticky. So I hit all the seams to keep you from leaking. And that's the biggest problem, is water. That's what ruined this floor before. That's what ruined that roof down there. So if you can avoid, any leaks or any water like that, I highly recommend that. So today what I was doing is I was trussing in the upper roof. So we're getting ready to run soffit. And you can hear a lot of the traffic too. It's actually a really good apartment right here because you can see it's right along the canal bank. So this has a perfect view. That's why I'm spending a little bit more time on this deck out here. So the plan here is I'm going to run vinyl soffit off of these 2x4s. These 2x4s I just put up, these runners here. So I'm just showing you guys how to clean up a place a little bit better than the traditional DIY home people, where they got to tear everything down and it says it's $50,000-$60,000 to do something like that, where it really isn't. I mean, you can do it somewhat affordable, just by, and you're not cutting corners either. It's just you're just doing things that and they're all within code too. You're just doing things that the standard contractors wouldn't normally do. I have 40 units. They all look great when I'm done with them. I built my own house, all the code this year. So I met all the 2022 code regulations in New York, which is very, very difficult to do. So I have credibility. So I'm just showing you guys how to clean this up. So the soffit we plan to go on is the vinyl white soffit, and it's a click and lock. So we're going to do this whole ceiling in it, and I actually did my whole ceiling in my house too. It comes out really nice. And I'm going to extend it out to here. I just put the fascia board up with the 2x4s up here. So I use 2x4 for the fascia board. I know it's getting a little pricey with the pandemic and the lack of materials in that. I was buying 2x4s at 12 bucks a whack. But for some things like this, you can actually use rough pine. So if you have any Amish around you, you can go to an Amish sawmill. I actually have a guy down the road from me. If I cut down trees, I can drop off the log at him and he'll cut up 2x4s for me. So check Craigslist. You might have an option for that. Some local guy that might just have a bandsaw, board cutter, and if you got some trees, some pine trees or something, or large by you, chop them down and send them over to him. Save on your lumber costs. So there's a big savings right here. So over here, I put the fan fold over the old siding. So this had that old wood, lap siding that's under here. And so I just go over it with fan fold to even the walls out. And then we're going to go brand new siding over the whole thing. So when you normally do that, you bump it out. You have that issue where you put your siding in, and it goes over the actual trim, and you don't need that. You want your J channel to actually go tight up against the trim. So what I've done is I just bumped out the actual trim with just 2x4, 2x4, and 2x6. So this is going to come right here along the side of the wall, come up here tight, and we're just going to nail it into place, and we're going to J channel right around this edge here. So now you got all this space to J channel, and then this board will eventually just be painted black. It'll look good. This is a premium kiln dried 2x4, so it has that smooth appearance. And I can show you over here similar what we did. We put this new window in, and we just framed this out by with 1x3s. You know, you can get them. They actually call them like spacer board or stuff like that for roofing. But it's pine, it's dried, it's kiln, and it looks good when you're done with it. So you can see how that looks. So what we're gonna do here is the same thing. It came out to the edge, but we're just gonna get another 1x3 and put it up over there just to bump it out enough so the J channel for the siding comes over the edge. So for a project like this, we're looking at probably maybe 40 feet in length, maybe 30 feet in length, and then probably about 15 feet, 20 feet wide. This project, to do the floors, the fan fold, all the lumber up top, I did put the roof on that, and all of this here too, you know, all of this railing and stuff like that. That'll probably run you, you know, really about 4,000 in materials, and maybe 5 at most. And if you can do it yourself and start to learn the trade a little bit, I mean, you could cut a $15,000 job down to a $5,000 job real easily. So you're talking about adding $10,000 of equity to your property just doing something like this. So if you can start to learn, you know, a little bit of handyman techniques, you can really start to earn a lot of income. You know, now a lot of people say, like, well, income. It's not income. It's you know, an asset. Well, if your building's paid off and you bought it for, let's say, $20,000 or $30,000. This particular building we bought for $40,000. By the time we're done renovating it, it should be worth somewhere around $190,000 to $225,000. So you can go right to the bank if you have an LLC, and you can now borrow up to 80% of that value of that property, and you can get it at very low interest rate too. So, you know, this is money, you know, and you are earning money by you know, sort of learning how to be a little bit of a handyman, and you can borrow from the bank and buy a couple more properties and do it all over again. So I just want to show you guys what we're doing here. Pretty simple tools you're going to need: just nail guns. You're going to need the air compressor for your nail gun, you know, skill saw, and you know, just a little ingenuity. You know, the basic tools too: nails, screwdrivers, stuff like that. You know, you got to have them on hand. But I mean, this is not it's not rocket science here. I know a lot of people get a little intimidated with stuff like this, but start small, you know, and then once you start to learn a little bit more, and you get, you know, a little bit more handy, and you start to get a little bit more tools, you start spending more time at Home Depot and Lowe's and starting to understand what's out there that you can actually build with. You can move right along. There's actually decent money in being a landlord, or even as a contractor. I know people don't, you know, think that's a notable trade. I used to be a mechanical engineer and a scientist, and now I prefer to be a landlord, and I stopped doing both of those because there's more income in it. So give it a shot, guys. I'll update you with this project as we move along, and we'll make it like maybe a 3 or 4 part series so I can show you when it's completed, and you can see the start. Well, right now I'm in the middle of the project, but I'll show you the middle, close to the end, and then the end of the project, just so you have an idea of you know, what you have to do.